Hello everyone, how's it going? So today I'm gonna be making a tier list video on all the legends for set 2 Spiritforged that's coming out in February and in December for China. Um, I'll start with going over the tiers and what they mean to me. So for D tier, I'm gonna be placing the legends that I think are not gonna have that much of a meta impact. So think Garens, for example, from the current set, that I think are just not very great overall. For C tier, I'm gonna be putting legends that don't seem very strong, but still could pop up like at your Nexus Knights, for example. B tier, I'm gonna be placing legends that have the potential to be very strong, but a lot is gonna depend on their card pool and what cards come out in Spiritforged. And then A tier is gonna be legends that I think are gonna be really good, that have a lot of potential, and then S tier is gonna be the legends that I think are going to be the top meta legends coming out of that set. So let's start with Sivir. Let's first talk about her ability. So Sivir ability says, when you recycle a rune, you may exhaust me to play gold gear token exhausted. When one or more enemy units die, ready me. So for those who do not know the gold gear tokens, they give you a one-time use to for 1 power, so you can avoid having to recycle runes by using those. However, when you look at the colors, it's purple orange. I'm not the biggest fan of that combination, to be honest. I don't think at the moment that combination is very strong. Obviously could change with the cards coming out in Spiritforged, but at first glance I don't see this legend being extremely strong, because at first you would think like, alright, I can recycle a rune and then I get a gold gear, so next time I have to play power, I'm not gonna DRAM myself. But then the next time you don't DRAM yourself, you're also not triggering her ability, so then it just kinda seems like you're gonna be only getting use out of it half of the time. So for that reason, I'm gonna be moving Sivir into the C tier. I think she can still do well at, so for example, a Nexus Knight, but I don't see her winning any big tournaments. Then the next one we have is Renata. So Renata, what she says is, when you or an ally hold, you may exhaust me to play a gold gear token exhausted. While your score is within 3 points of the victory score, your gold adds 1 additional energy. And she is blue and yellow, so it's the same colors as Victor. When I read this ability, I feel like it's more geared towards 2v2 matches. I think this could be good when it's a 2v2 game, but at a competitive level for 1v1s, holding, it's not that easy. You don't score that much by holding. Also, to get the additional effect, you need to be within 3 points of the victory score, so it takes a long time to set up the ability. And I just think legends overall with abilities that take a while to set up are not that great overall, so for that reason I am going to be moving Renata into the D tier. Then the next legends that we have is Fiora, the Grand Duelist. When one of your unit becomes mighty, you may exhaust me to channel 1 rune exhausted, and her colors are orange and yellow, so the same colors as Set has at the moment. We already have a sorry, excuse me. We already have a Fiora champion unit, which is already seeing a lot of play. So and also revolves around being mighty. Um, for me, the big question is, does this also trigger immediately when you play a unit that has already 5 power or more, or do you have to buff a unit so it becomes mighty for you to be able to channel that rune? For I think it's gonna trigger automatically when you play a mighty unit, because otherwise this would be pretty bad. This is gonna help a lot with orange and yellow, because as you can see currently in set, they usually play with very little runes because of their power cost, so this is gonna help a little bit with that, but I'm not sure if this is necessarily better than the ability that set has, because being able to save your units is obviously really strong. I think she has potential, but I don't think she's gonna be very meta. So I'm gonna put her in B tier for now. Then the next legend we're gonna talk about is Irelia Blade Dancer. She is green and purple, so the same colors as Yasuo, I believe. When you choose a friendly unit, you may exhaust me and pay an power to ready it. When you conquer, you may pay 1 energy to ready me. So yeah, like I said, same colors as Yasuo, which are currently not the best color combination. You do have access to cards like Defy, which is really strong. But then when you look at this, you have to pay a power to ready a unit, so it's kind of an accelerate. So all your units will have accelerate, but you won't have to pay the energy, which seems strong at first glance. But with Spiritforged also being very centered around equipment, which also cost power to attach, I think it's just gonna become a bit too costly to keep doing this, and you're gonna put yourself on really low resources all the time. And I'm not a big fan of those playstyles. I think there's potential, but I don't think Irelia is gonna be very strong. So for that reason, I'm putting Irelia currently in B tier. Then the next legend we have is Azir, Emperor of the Sands. He's green and yellow, and he says your sand soldiers have Weapon Master, pay 1 energy and tap him to play a 2 might sand soldier unit token to your base. Use only if you've played an equipment this turn. So like I just mentioned, this set is going to be heavily focused around equipment. For those that do not know what Weapon Master means, Weapon Master basically means that you can equip when on summon, so when you play that unit, you can equip an equipment to it for 1 power cost less than you should, and from what I've seen, usually most of the equipment only cost 1 power, so it would basically be kind of a free equip. So I think this one is gonna be quite strong. Obviously it's gonna depend on how strong all of the equipment is going to be and how strong the equipment for his colors are going to be, but it's already double the might that Victor gets from his tokens, and on top of that they have Weapon Master, so you're gonna be very easily able to buff them up quite a lot as well, and for that reason I think I'm gonna be moving Azir into the A tier. Then the next legend we have is none other than Draven. So Draven, the Glorious Executioner, he is red and purple, so the same colors as Annie. And he says, when you win a combat, draw 1. You win if only your units remain after combat. So it's basically card draw, which in my opinion is very strong. The fact that it's on every combat, so when you're attacking and when you're defending, seems quite strong. So I think Draven is going to be able to out-resource a lot of decks. I think the color combination, so red and purple, is quite aggressive, so it's probably going to be quite an aggressive aggro deck. So yeah, I can see Draven becoming one of the better legends from this set. I'm not sure if I would say that he's necessarily S tier. I don't think it's going. It seems like super meta defining. I think that for now I'll move him to A tier. I might move him up to S tier later, but for now I'm gonna keep him in the A tier. But I do think he's gonna be better than S tier, so I'll place him before him. Then the next legend that we have is Ornn, and Ornn is green and blue, and says, as a reaction, you may add a power, but you can only use it to play gear or use gear abilities. So you can use it to play gears or to attach gears, and like I said, usually those cost 1 power, so you're basically going to be equipping them for free. So it kind of seems like a Kaisa in a way that it's going to be able to save you a lot of power. To me this seems very strong as well. It's blue, so it has access to cards like Watcher. So I feel like this card is going to be really strong. So, and for that reason I'm going to be moving him into S tier, so he's the first one I'm putting in S tier. Just the color combination seems really strong, and on top of that the ability is also having an impact quite soon into the game, depending on your builds of course, but I assume equipment is going to be a big part of next set's meta. Then we have Jax, Grandmaster at Arms. He is green and orange, and he has basically 2 abilities. His first ability is you may pay 1 energy and tap him, and attach a detached equipment you control to a unit you control. And his second ability is you can just tap him to attach an attached equipment you control to a unit you control. So basically you can swap equipments between units while they're already equipped for free, or you can pay one energy to equip a detached equipment. So again, I feel like this is gonna help a lot with your runes, not keeping them too low, so it's gonna mitigate the cost of using equipment. So again, I think that's gonna be quite strong. Green-orange, not necessarily the biggest fan of the color combination, but still it is quite strong. I don't think he's gonna be S tier like Ornn, but I do think he's gonna be very strong, and for that reason I'm putting him in A tier. Then the next legend we have is Rumble, and Rumble says your mechs have shield +1 while they're defenders, and he is red and blue, so the same colors as Kaisa has. I think Rumble is gonna depend a lot on how good mechs are. It seems like it's gonna be the first archetypal legend that we're going to be getting. At the moment there are not a lot of strong mechs. I haven't seen too many leaks yet, but just a +1 while defending just kinda seems like a worse Yi, and it's mech locked, so for that reason I don't feel like Rumble is gonna be very strong, and I am going to be putting him into the C tier. Then we have Ezreal. This is one I'm personally very excited about. He is blue and purple, and his ability is on reaction speed. You can tap him to draw 1. You can only use this ability if you've chosen enemy units and or gear twice this turn with spells or unit abilities. So you have to basically target gear or units your opponent controls twice for this to be relevant. It is a free draw and it is at reaction speed, so you can do it as well during your opponent's turn. I did see some leaks with cards that will have repeat on them, so you can the card will basically have a cost and then you can do the effect of that card again. So I think it's gonna heavily depend on how good those types of cards are going to be and how good they're gonna be for his color combination. I would assume that Ezreal's signature spell is gonna be something with repeats that will immediately trigger this. So I think it has potential, but I don't see him being one of the top dogs. And for that reason I am going to be putting Ezreal into the B tier. Then we have Lucian. And Lucian says your equipment each give assault +1 while equipped. +1 while equipped unit is an attacker. So it basically gives just assault 1 to any unit that is equipped. The colors are red and orange. Again, it's one of those legends. It's just a +1 while attacking. It's probably gonna be quite an aggressive deck, but I don't see Lucian with this ability being one of the top dogs of the meta, and for that reason I am moving him to. I'll move him to top of C tier. Then the last legend we're gonna be talking about is Rek'Sai, and Rek'Sai is red and yellow, and her ability goes as follows. When you conquer, you may exhaust me to reveal the top 2 cards of your main deck. You may play one, then recycle the rest. So it's basically a recycle 2 with the option of playing one of those cards, so that already in itself seems quite strong. I imagine it's gonna be quite an aggressive deck, where you're just gonna try and swarm the board and just control the game that way very early on. It does seem quite strong. However, it does not reduce the cost of the unit you're playing, but it does make it so that you keep your hand count always quite high, and you can recycle cards that you don't like or don't need at the moment in that situation. So that all seems quite strong, and it basically has also like instant value during the game. So you don't have to wait until a certain point in the game to be able to use this. And for that reason I am going to be moving Rek'Sai to S tier as well, just before. So just to recap, I think just based on the abilities, so nothing based on the card pool yet, I think that Ornn and Rek'Sai are going to be the strongest legends coming out of this set, followed by Draven, Azir and Jax, and then everything else below is a little bit less strong, but again B tier might be good, just depending on what type of support they get. And yeah. Alright guys, that's it. Let me know what you guys think of the tier list, if there's anything you guys would change on the tier list, if there's someone you think I placed way too high or someone that I placed way too low. If, for example, if you think that Renata is gonna be S tier, let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.